Okay, fine, guys. So we'll start now. So let me share my screen. Now, today, so what we'll discuss is, so in last session we saw that, so how we are going to work with like a data sharing, right? Okay. So now, data sharing and so sample, right? Data sampling, how to create a data sampling. Now we will see, so first, so before going to the best practices, so we will discuss about so data marketplace. So if you have a future in Snowflake, this one. So this is data marketplace here. So when you want to work with this data marketplace, first let's understand what is this data marketplace. Generally, so what will happen? So when you are exchanging data in between organization to organization. Okay. So for example, fine. So when you have, so let's assume that so organization one and so organization two. So now let's assume so whatever the data is available in, so like assume that sister companies or whatever it may be. So organization two, so we need this data, whatever the data they are maintaining. So they need this data the completely into the organization one. So our simple way, so whatever the data is available in my account. So now, so this is my databases, right? So this from these databases, so I want to share it to you. Whatever is available in my database. Suppose let's assume that I created this data for all my organization transactions. So all the data we are storing in this particular database. But so the requirement is I want to give the complete data to your organization. Let's assume that I want to give it to you. So you are a separate organization, I am a separate organization. So based on your organization, what you need to do, so general thing will be, so you are going to, like for example, export the data so in any file format or XML format, whatever it may be, and again import. So you are going to import wherever it is required, right? This is the general process. When you are doing this, what you need to do, so you need to create a database structure, right? And then table structure, and then schema structure. Everything you need to do it manually, right? So instead of that, what you can do is, the whoever want to share the data, so in the sister organizations or organization to organization, we have a data marketplace. But one condition when we are working with data marketplace is, when we are working with this, the organization has to allow the other organization to access their data. So now let's observe this in the data marketplace. If you keep my data into marketplace, so I need to give the permission to other organization to access my data. Now let's observe this. 7. If you, sorry, if you observe this, see this one. So all these organization, they kept their public the data information into the marketplace. So based on your requirement, you can export this data, and then you can so get this data into your database. So it can be related to, so let's observe this, weather information, it's a public data. Or so you can see finance information, right? Let's come to again, see this one. So finance information or health related information. Let's observe this. If you observe, for example, health information, you can able to see this one, the COVID related information is available. So this is related to this company. So this EM is providing the health related information, so for the different organizations. Now let's observe this, what is available here. See this one. So COVID situation report, right? WHO COVID situation report. So this is so for the global. And so if you observe this, So sample fields, what all the data is available. So what all this is the public information like this. So you will get from the different organization. So like public related information like weather forecast information or the finance related information, so our health related information. So these kind of different informations will be available here. Sorry, very sorry, it's so what's today. Now if you want to get this information, for example this COVID situation report, this particular database you want to get into our the databases, into our database, what you can do is you can request the data, you can request the data, or some so data will be directly available. So without the request also you can able to access directly free. So for example if you send a request you need to so give the information, so why you are like so trying to access this data. Some of the other information, let me show you. If you go back somewhere, US country, let me check this. Some data will be available for free. COVID cases, death state. So all are requested. Let me check. It's asking the website information also. Let me try. They are going to accept it or not. It is not taking. Okay. So let me check the somewhere I saw that personalized. Let me go back. All are based on request, so you can able to see. Some the data will be, it will be free to access. Personalized data, so we cannot so able to get this. So these data, so again, so we need to so give the proper information, then only they can able to accept it. So let me show you. So we'll come to other category, environment. Okay, now observe this one. So this is free, so we can able to get this data. So now, so this information related to environment data related to so atlas. See this one. So they will give in the brief description about the so this greenhouse gas emission related data. Now, if you get the data, see this. So just add a role. So you can give it to account admin, and then so this is the database environment data atlas, and then get data. So, but so when you are getting this data, that organization, the whatever the you are requesting data, you select the roles. You said you cannot get the data. Just a minute. Here, let me change the role to account admin. Now get data to account admin. You can use the database. Okay, can give it to sysadmin. Get data. Now see this. So now, so done. When you've done this, now if you come here and then when you refresh it, see this one, environment data related to atlas from this particular organization. So this organization environment, so no EMA, so right. So this from this organization, so we received this data into our organization database. Now here if you observe, we have this schema, environment schema, at the same time information schema, both the things is available here. Now, if you just check the data available, so whatever the data they are giving, right? So if you preview the data, you can able to see the data. So here, the best part is no need to create a structure again. The already the data is available. So if you want to share the data, now observe this one, the complete information is available. So related to this particular organization. So this particular, the environment related data related to the atlas, right? These information directly, so we imported the complete structure, the table, so along with so whatever the views they are having, so everything is available here. Now observe this, so they are having like everything, so we can able to see it here, right? The views, whatever the views they have created on this particular data. So this is related to so like data marketplace, how we can able to get the data from any other organization. So but only the thing is when you are requesting the information, that particular organization has to keep their data in the data marketplace, in the data marketplace, then only we can able to get the data, otherwise it is not possible. So and then some of the information freely available, so for our so just for the analysis purpose, some of the informations you need to send a request and the proper information you need to give, so why you are planning to utilize that particular data, right? So this is so one of the future the Snowflake has given to exchange the public information. So it can be health related information, finance related information, like environmental related information. These are the public information, right? These kind of public information to exchange, we have a data marketplace. So we can so use this if you want. So otherwise it's up to us, up to the organization, and then up to so some of the so organizations, what they will do is they will generate some of the so white papers for the analysis reports and all. So then so they will access these the public related information, and then they will so do play with the data. So that is the data marketplace feature in a Snowflake. Now let's come to okay, so best practices. What are the best
Ganesh,
practices?
can you show
Yeah,
us how can you make the class database available in the public in the marketplace, data marketplace?
this particular thing.
Mhm.
Okay, this so I never tried. So let me check. Maybe some information so you can able to see it here. Like, come to data marketplace. Let's come to this. This is request. I need to check on this. So we need to give the information from his here itself, the data from the data marketplace. So I have to see this one. So I will check and get back to you. So we can able to share the public data here. We can able to see our databases here, whatever the database is available. But to do that, so I think so we need to give some settings. I think we need to change the permissions or something. This is related to the new database. This is related to shared data. So this is also whatever the data is available for us. I will check this one. Okay. So how we can able to do that? I'm not sure exactly. Never done this. We'll see that. So let me go to second account admin role. Then let me check is there any option is available. You can see class. So maybe some other way. I will check that and get back to you. How exactly we need to do that.
Dinesh, one question. So,
Yeah,
what is the purpose of using this data market?
data marketplace to get the public data into our database. For example, so whatever the data available, so they have provided in the marketplace, right? Let's assume that some other organization data, what we have done here, so whatever the data is available, so in the public places like environment, right, in the marketplace, this particular data we have imported into our database. Now see this one, right, related to any public related information. It can be health related information or finance related information. So all this information, so the freely available for us, so to do some analysis, right? So if you observe here, like for example the finance related information we have, so at the same time, so you can able to see weather related information, and then health related, see this one, the COVID related information. These are the relate these information these companies has worked already on this particular data. So if you want to get this data, if you want to analyze these so data, so in your organization, then what you can do is you can request the data from them. Then so once they given the request, once they accepted the request, that particular data you can able to so use that particular data for free of use. So no need to again so create a data, no need to so collect the data from some other sources. Already everything is available here. If you observe, the data is available here already. So they have so worked on this particular data, right? So if you want to share like for example, so sister companies information, so if they want to so merge so some two companies information into so one database, so then these situations, then we can come to the marketplace and then we can able to get the data. So that is the main like intention behind sharing the information from so one organization to another organization. So mostly it will be only the public related information only it will be available. So like if you observe categories, also see this one, environment related information, government related information, or finance related. For example, so if you want to understand who is the defaulters, right? And then so what is the finance situation for any like organization, like insurance details related to any country or any specific state, these kind of information publicly it will be available here. From here you can access the data and then you can so get it into your database. So that is the main intention behind the marketplace. The same way, if you want to keep some info, so now you have worked on, so let's assume that you have worked on this database. Now you want to keep this information into publicly for available access for the other persons. Then you can also you can also keep this particular database into the marketplace. So you can give so access to the others. They can able to access your data freely. So instead of working from the scratch. So that is the main intention behind the marketplace. Okay.
Okay, Dinesh. So you mean say that we can get the data from the marketplace and we can give the data to the marketplace also.
Exactly. So now, so let's come to this one. I will show you. So let me so check that one. So how to like so put the data, put our databases into marketplace. I will see that. Okay. So now, so let's come to. So this is very important. So whatever the things we have discussed till now, right? So what are the best practices generally? So we are going to follow. So in our the Snowflake. So if you observe, so what are the features we are having in Snowflake? If you observe, the main features are, one is the cloning concept, and we have a so table types, right? And then we have a fail-safe option, the time travel, the retention period, the copy command, so and then the stages we are using, and then so data sampling. These are the main features. Now, so when it is coming to the table types, so all the staging types should be the transient tables. It means when you are working in development environment, and then so when you are working in test environment, all your tables should be transient tables. Only in your production only, so you will have the permanent tables because of the fail safe, because of fail safe option. So always that is the best practice to create so permanent tables in a production. So remaining everywhere we can use a transient tables. And so this is the common thing when creating, we can give the proper data types. And so when you have so always we will so do the updates and the staging tables before pushing the data to production tables. So instead of working directly on the production tables, so we'll do that in a so stage tables. So we will see that in a so dev and then test environments. Then we will so move it to the production. So always development database should be a transient. So this we know that. And coming to in general traditional like data warehousing. So what will be the flow? If you observe here, okay. So generally, so you will have ETL tools to extract, transform, and then load the data. What they will do, they will load the data. So from by using any like ETL tool, they will load the data into the warehouse. From the warehouse, so they will give it to the reporting purpose. Reporting purpose. They will give the access to the so this warehouse. Now, like when they are giving the access to the reporting tools, they can't give the direct the complete warehouse, right? What they will do is they will create so based on the requirement, based on the modules, from this warehouse, they will create a subset of the warehouses, like for example, a kind of the data marts. So subset means some small portion of information related to any specific the module. So let's assume that here, so see this here. So we have the different sources. Let's assume that from these sources, they have pulled the data into the database, and then so we have a so production. This is completely the ETL load. So they will do the transformations, and then finally, so they will load it into the warehouse. Now this is a warehouse. From this, when they want to give to the reporting purpose based on the module, like for example, it can be a table view, Power BI, or whatever it may be. So any reporting tool. So what they will go based on the module wise, they are going to create again the data marts. See this one. So data marts for the sales. So subset of information, again another database. Again here the HR related information to the another database. So when you are doing that, what will happen here? So this particular portion also, it will occupy the space. Again, this mart and then this particular thing, both the thing also, it will occupy a space, right? So the same data. So again, unnecessarily we are occupying a storage, and from these they are generating the views, they are creating a views, and then so they will give it to the reporting tools access. So this is a traditional method, but instead of this, when you are utilizing in place of this warehouse, when you are utilizing the Snowflake, so what will happen is, instead of creating the separate data marts for each and every modules for the reporting purpose, what we can do is simply, so we can do the clone. The completely what we can do is, you can able to use a clone option here. When you are using a clone option, what will happen? So clone always, it will point out to the original storage, right? That is the main intention behind the cloning, right? We can use a cloning option here, and then always, so it will so not occupy additional storage. That is the one of the so main feature. So when we are working with a Snowflake, what we can do is, instead of giving the complete access to the production database, you can clone that complete database, and then this particular thing on the cloned one, you can able to create a views, and then you can give the access to the so respective the this reporting tools. So that is the main intention
Dinesh,
behind the
so
cloning.
the
Yeah.
clone will have the data at the time
Mm,
of
mm,
when we created it, right? It won't have the latest at that
mm,
time snapshot data would be there in the clone. So do you think, suppose more rows have been added after
mm,
the clone has been
mm,
created, the recent
correct.
data will also be in the clone
Uh,
database or
Correct.
table?
So I understand your question. So for that, what we will do is, in the next session, we are going to discuss about materialized view. So we'll create a materialized view. So on that particular, so whatever the data you are going to give it to the reporting purpose, what will happen is, when you created a materialized view, right? So it will be always, it will be the real time data. So your intention is, for example, let's say if the data changes here, or if the data like inserts here, so keep on so like updating the data in this particular database. So how the data will be updated here, right? That is your so question, right? So it will not be a real time data if you are cloning, right? So then
Yes.
what you can do is, in that particular situation, we can create a materialize view, and then we can give the access to that, so especially to the reporting purpose. It will be always, it will be the real time data. So in a materialize view, you will see that practically. So how to do that materialize view, how we
Dinesh,
can able to implement it. Yeah,
Dinesh, I have a question.
yeah, Priya, tell me.
So if you go back to the diagram you were sharing, right? So you said,
Yeah.
okay, I
Mm,
have a clone there instead of a data mart. Okay. But
mm, mm,
in data warehousing, right? What is the idea
mm,
of a data mart? We're just staging different kinds of data, right? We are basically grouping different kind of data together. Say one is a
correct.
finance data mart, one is a HR data
Mm,
mart.
mm,
So
mm,
to me, the data mart is not something that comes in a data warehouse after your prod DB. To me, that's equivalent to
mm,
your prod DB. You have a stage area and you put it in the data mart. Here you put in prod DB. So I
mm,
don't
mm,
really understand now why
mm,
the cloned DB, or what is the
mm.
advantage of it, or why we even have a prod DB. I mean, one of these layers I'm not able to understand.
This particular thing you are talking about. Okay. So
Yeah,
when it is
either
coming
one,
to,
right? Like to
mm,
me, I'm
mm,
thinking in my head, I'll just have only one,
understand.
right? Like, but
Mm.
you have two. Yeah.
Okay, so here, so what will happen is when you are doing the clone DB, right? So what will happen? So in the traditional way, so here, if you observe this here, one production warehouse, right? So production, this is a production database. Let's assume that. So
Yeah.
simple, one particular database. So why we are doing the two data marts here? So based on the module wise, right? One is a sales, one is finance, one is
Okay.
HR related information. So when you are directly any time, so you cannot give directly access to the production database, right? So no one will give the access to the production database when any reporting purpose or whatever it may be. Either they are going to create a view or they will create a separate database. So like a module wise, then they will give the access to that particular thing. So this particular portion is clear right here.
I don't necessarily agree. I mean, we whatever is a
Hmm.
production warehouse, we will give direct
Hmm.
access, read-only access to
Mm-hmm.
all these reporting tools like Tableau or whatever. They can read
Hmm.
from the production warehouse.
No, no, directly no one will give the access to the production. Okay, so okay, let's assume that. So if you have given direct access to the production, so it may have so huge volume of the data, right? So when they are every
Yes.
time when they are accessing, so they will access the complete set of the data, right? So but they require
Okay.
the complete data, so they don't require the complete data. So it will slowness will be there, right? Definitely. So instead
Okay.
of that, what they will do is they will create a production the same way, the production data marts for the different modules, right? So these modules, so maybe they will give the access directly to the read only access here for this particular the module wise so data marts.
Is
Okay,
it
so this is mm,
is it because
mm.
are you refreshing your production data warehouse frequently in this case?
Yes, so that is the one thing. So frequently, so we will update the data into the production database, right? So from here, so whatever the data it is required for the this particular like a sales or this particular HR or finance, whatever it may be. So from here, so it will be refreshed into so these particular data marts. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So now, so instead of doing this, when you are doing this, what will happen? The same, for example, let's assume that this occupied 1 GB. Okay. So this one, so around so 5 GB it is occupied. Again, so 5, so for example, 0.5 GB, 0.5 GB. Again, the same, whatever the storage occupied here, the same thing again we are occupying here, right? So it's a same data we are placing in a different places, right? The storage will be extra storage will be occupied here, right? Whatever the data available here, the same data available in the production data warehouse also. The whatever the data available in HR, this data also available here, isn't it? Is this point is clear, Priya, for you?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So now, so when you are doing this, the same data it is occupying, so both the places. The instead of this, so here the snowflake, so picture the coming into the cloned the database. The when you are cloning, what will happen? What is the main the purpose of clone? So instead of like occupying the storage here, always it will point out to the so production database storage itself. It will not additionally occupy the another storage. It will always share the metadata from the cloud services, and then it will, so whenever you have access any data from here, always it will point out to the so production database from the cloud services, unless it will share the metadata. Then it will not occupy additional storage. For example, so if it is 1 GB of the storage, so this one, so again it will not occupy 1 GB of the storage if you are cloning. So again, what it will do, so just it will point out to the original storage. So it will access from the metadata. That is the main intention of the cloning here. Is it clear now? Yeah, that's why. So we are using a clone
Yeah.
option here. Okay. So now, so from the clone, so directly they will so give the access to the reporting tools. So that is the main intention. So just to store, um, just to avoid the double the storage. Okay. So we can use the clone option. That is the main intention behind that. Okay. So now when you are coming to, So let's say, for example, okay, so I'll give you an example here. Let's assume that, so we have a production database. Okay, let's assume that in a production, so we have a table. Okay, so if you have any modification, or so you need to do any modification on the so production table, you need to do some DML operations, or you need to so implement some changes on the so existing table. So here, when you are doing this, just a minute, right? Now, so when you observe this, so production table, if you have any changes,
Dinesh, I have a
so
quick
what you are
question
going to
here.
do, so we are going to
Uh,
bring their production table, the complete data, you cannot able to change directly, right? So what you can do is here to, so you need to so bring back this particular table to the like a test environment. Then we have to do the changes here, right? Then we have to implement the changes here. Then so we have to again, whatever the changes you have implemented, again you have to so send it back to the so production database. Instead of all this drama, what you can do directly from the production table, you can able to clone the production table directly to the so ITG, right? Then so always it will be whatever the data is available, so you can able to so get the data directly. So that's the same point they are mentioning here. So if you want to fix any production tables, you can take a clone so directly from the production tables. Then you can use a swap. So we know the swap option, right? So when you are implementing, once the changes is done, so once you have done the changes on the so cloned table, what you can do is simply instead of renaming every table, so there, so the so we can use a swap option. Then when you are using swap option, so whatever the data is production without changes and production table with changes, so both the things will be swapped. So when you are swapping, so always you will have a so backup. So and then so whatever the data you have updated, so that will be available in a production table. So that is the main intention. So one of the so other advantage of the clone option. So instead of like renaming and then every time, so if you want to fix, we can able to use this. And at the same time, if anyone want the full access on the production table in any case, so instead of giving so direct access to the production table, what you can do again, you can give the clone, so clone the table, and then you can give the so access to that. Anyway, when you are giving the access on the clone table, it is not going to impact on the so production tables. So that is a so main intention. And when it is coming to virtual warehouses, now, so here, so we need to discuss two more points here. So this is the virtual warehouse, right? We know that. So it depends on, so like for example, development, you will have a separate virtual warehouse. For the data load, you will have a separate virtual warehouse. For the testers, you will have a separate virtual warehouse. So each and every like group, so they will have a separate virtual warehouse for the access purpose. Okay, when they have created a virtual warehouse, so two things here. So one thing is when you click on configure, now observe this. So here, so you have virtual warehouse size increasing, right? So based on your data load, so here, so they can use extra small or medium. So anyone they can able to use that, right? So when they are increasing, so let's say assume that, so for the data load, so you have given the small or the medium so virtual warehouse. So now, so when you are working with the data load, so maybe so every day when the data is increasing, you are so observing that so data like a load, it is taking some time, the performance is like a decreasing. Then what you need to do is, so you have to increase the size of the virtual warehouse here. Increasing the size of the virtual warehouse, that is the one concept. Another concept is increasing the size of the cluster. Now observe this cluster, right? always your clusters will be, so minimum to maximum it will be 10. So for any virtual warehouse, always the default will be the best practices cluster will be 10. See here what will happen is, so in so certification also you will get these questions, two things. So they will call scale up and scale down. Scale up, scale down. Another one is scale in and scale out. These are the two terminologies, scale in and scale out, scale up and scale down. When it is coming to increasing the virtual warehouse sizes, you are going to call it as a scale up and scale down. It means here, if you observe this here, right? So when you are increasing the virtual warehouse size, then we will call it as a scale up or scale down. Scale up. So when you are increasing, for example, previously it is extra small. Now we need to increase to the small. Then we will call it as a scale up. When it is coming to increasing these cluster sizes, right? This we will call it as a scale in and scale out. Scale in and scale out. This is related to clusters. This is, so why you need this one? So this is so sharing the, for example, so if you have, this is what will it will do is, so it will so share the workload in between the clusters. So that is the concept of the minimum so clusters and the maximum clusters. Always, so you need to so check, so one parameter, so generally, so this one so will be done by, so generally, so when you are so going to that, so we'll get the support from the Snowflake team. So we will so tell them, so this is the so virtual warehouse size we are using for this data load, and then we are using this, so minimum and maximum clusters, it is taking this much of time. So based on the backend parameters they will check, and then so they are going to come up with, so they will tell them, so you can increase to the medium or you can increase to the part. So I didn't see any in the so production databases also anywhere, I didn't see no one is using so above medium, so above the medium, so extra small, small, and then medium only, so most of the time so we are using now. So this is, so just remember that this is a scale up, and then when it is coming to the increasing the cluster size, this is a scale in and then scale out, scale in and scale out. And so here the same thing they are mentioning here. See this one, development you should use the same virtual warehouse clusters while doing the development. All the development team should share the so same so virtual warehouse. And so for the development, so this one auto shutdown to the max period. If you observe this, auto shutdown means, so here we have auto suspend, right? So this is the auto suspend here. So generally we will give, so for example 30 minutes or 45 minutes. So here auto suspend by default it will be 10 minutes. So how it will be related is here, so when you are doing this, if you give auto suspend to 10 minutes, so after 10 minutes, so your virtual warehouse, whatever the virtual warehouse we are using here, right? If you come to the virtual warehouse, this particular thing, now it is in a idle, it is shut down, right? So if it is shut down, so whatever the cache it will be available in this virtual warehouse, right? So it will not be available. So anyway, so we will have this virtual warehouse cache at the same time. So you will have a, so cache will be, so another cache will be available, so there, so it will be by default it will be available for 24 hours, cache will be available for 24 hours. But when it is coming to especially the virtual warehouse cache, so it will be so available only, so up to, see this one, so here we are going to have auto suspend option, right? So only this particular time only it will be available, otherwise so it will go to the main cache level. So there is two levels of cache. One is so related to the virtual warehouse level. Another one is so related to the main cache. Main cache will be available always. It will be 24 hours. So if you give like five, for example, 5 minutes or 15 minutes, then every time, so what will happen? For example, if I given 45 minutes, within the 45 minutes, so if it's, for example, this virtual warehouse has shut down, So it will always, so whatever the query you are executing again, so it will go to the main cache. That is the main intention. So behind, so giving the virtual warehouse to the maximum time to, so this one to the maximum period, the shutdown to the maximum period. And by loading, so this one, so this is fine. So clusters,
Oh,
this is,
sorry to interrupt you, Dinesh. Yeah.
sorry,
Hello. Yeah.
yes, yes, tell me.
What is the difference between the global cache and the warehouse cache? Means what is the purpose of both the cache?
Global cache will be available 24 hours, and then local cache, virtual warehouse cache will be available until the virtual warehouse is suspended.
So,
That's it.
what is the
Hmm.
purpose of this warehouse cache? Means what
Warehouse,
it is
okay.
storing? What it is storing basically in the cache?
Uh, in the cache, what it will be, what it will available, whatever the data we are so frequently we are executing, right? So that particular data, it will be available in cache. For example, let me show you here. Let's take anything. Okay. So now assume that first time I am executing. Okay. When I'm executing first time, now observe this. Before executing that, observe the icon here. It is virtual warehouse is shut down, right? So when I am running this, now it will turn into green, right? It turned into green. Now if you observe how much time it has taken, 821 milliseconds. See this one, 821 milliseconds, right? If you go in the back end, so what happened exactly in the query ID for the query execution plan, you can able to see the statistics here, right? You can able to see the statistics. And when you come again, and then again, so one more time, if I am executing now the same query, now observe this, how much time it is going to take. See this one, 40 milliseconds. So 40 milliseconds, because the virtual warehouse still it is in a use, right? It is not shut down. So once it is shut down, so without shutdown, what will happen is whatever the data, so first time when you have executed, right? So this is the second time we have executed. When you executed second time, if you come to the query ID, see this one, query result has been reused. It, this one, it picked from the cache from the virtual warehouse. So that is the main intention. You understand, right? So let me show you,
And,
so
uh,
diagrammatically.
so if the caching
Hmm.
means the data is stored at the warehouse level, so
Hmm.
what data is stored at the global level?
So whatever the data, it will be available, right? Just a minute. So here, okay. Processor.
Ideally, this is about the session. If I look back the warehouse, the concept of warehouse, every
Just a minute, I
it
will
it
open
is
that
related to.
architecture.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think every new warehouse is the new session, but ultimately
Mm.
this is pointing a database only. So if a data has hello, is this noise from my side? Hello, hello.
Mm, it's clear for me.
Okay,
It's
okay,
clear for me, Kumar. Is it for everyone?
okay, okay. So what was my question is,
Go ahead.
let's say if I have written a query like select a star from EMP where
Mm,
employee ID is equal to 1, right? And the data has
okay.
been cached. The plan has
Mm,
been
okay.
cached at
Okay.
the warehouse level. Let's say
Okay.
if warehouse this
Mm,
query was executed in warehouse 1. Now the
mm, mm,
another user is writing executing this query at warehouse 2.
mm,
So it will again
mm-hmm.
pass, it will again fetch the data, it will again do all the activities.
Yes, exactly. So each and every virtual warehouse is separate cache. Now, if you observe this particular thing, now observe this diagram. So this is a compute virtual warehouse, right? Every virtual warehouse. Now here, So we have, let's assume that, so for development virtual warehouse, the test virtual warehouse, and then production virtual warehouse, or data load virtual warehouse. Okay. Each and every virtual warehouse has a separate cache here, right? Now, is it clear,
But
Kumar?
I could not get
Okay.
the concept of the global cache.
Global cache, what will happen is, so when the cache is available in this virtual warehouse, until it shut downs, so only at that particular time only this cache will be available in this here. Okay. After that, what will happen is it will go to the global cache, and then again the complete the cloud services, whatever the cloud services we have, right here in the cloud services, it will be available 24 hours. If the data is not available in this virtual warehouse cache, then it will go to the cloud services, it will check there. So that is the main, the functionality of the cache here.
So when the data, no, no, again, please
Mm,
go back. Yes, right.
mm,
So
mm,
when the data
mm.
will be available in the above that cloud service, when means it
Mm.
is a physical read you are talking, or it is a cache read?
It is cache, not physical. Physical only it will be available in the storage resources.
So it the
Only the
data will be
metadata
only
and then,
available.
mm,
The
yeah, go
the
ahead.
caching data, the cache data will be at cloud service will only
Mm,
available when the virtual
mm.
warehouse will get closed or it will be shut down.
No, no, no. It will be available there also. So if it is available in a virtual warehouse, then it will pick from the directly from the virtual warehouse. If the virtual warehouse is shut down, for example, let me show you here. Just a minute. Here, if you observe here, so what happened? So this virtual warehouse still it is in a idle. Sorry, still it is in a use, right? Suppose this one is turned into green, right? If it is turned into idle, if it is not, so if it is suspended, then only it will go to the global cache. Otherwise, it will pick always. So if it is on, always it will pick it from the virtual cache itself. Is it clear now, Kumar?
Little bit. I have to go more deeper into cache part. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So just
Dinesh,
okay.
just to add a point,
Yeah.
when I read few documentation thing, what I understand is
Yes,
there will
sir.
be two types of cache, like what you said. One is like result cache, which you said like global cache, and
Yeah.
one other is
From same
local
thing.
disk cache, that is like compute data warehouse cache. So
Local disk
whenever you
cache is
execute,
correct.
whenever you execute this thing, this query processing, everything will be shared in compute warehouse. That means this data warehouse cache, and results will be shared in results cache. So whenever other user in different warehouse executed also, whatever there in result cache will be useful, but whatever there in compute warehouse cache, it will not be useful once the session is ended. That's what
That is
I
true.
understand. Yeah.
That is true, Sarvan.
So whenever we execute one query, Kumar, it will have two parts actually. One is result cache, one is compute warehouse cache. So result cache is available across users and across warehouse. But whatever cache available like query processing details, everything there, it will be restricted to only that part of compute warehouse. So that once that virtual warehouse session is ended, that cache will be automatically killed. But this result cache will be available for 24 hours to serve other users across different warehouses in that account. That's what my
Okay.
Thank.
understanding.
Yeah. Thanks, Arun. This
Is it
this looks logical,
is it
right?
is it clear now? Okay, fine. So it means, so here the virtual, this is the virtual warehouse. This is the local cache. We can call it this one as a local cache. The local cache we are talking about, that is nothing but a result cache. It will be available in both the places. Once this virtual warehouse is shut down, so then it will go and then pick it from the result cache. That is the main intention behind the caching. Is it clear now? Thank you, Sarvan. So now,
Dinesh, I have
so
a question. So
yeah,
the
please.
result, you have something called the
Mm,
virtual cache, and then you have something called the
mm.
result or the reporting cache, correct?
Result cache. Yeah.
Result
Level
cache.
we
So
can
the
say that. Yeah.
result cache is mainly used for reporting. So when you're like,
Not reporting. It's nowhere related to reporting, Priya. That is different concept.
virtual cache is related to reporting.
No. Virtual cache is also not related to reporting. Just for like a query processing, so it will so make it fast to so get the data. So that's it.
Yeah.
So it
So
will be available.
the
Temporary data will be available there. So to whenever you are executing the same query, if you observe this here, the first time when you are executing, it has taken 821 milliseconds. Second time when you are executing the same query, it has taken 40 milliseconds. So this is related to the processing related to the cache level. Yeah. So now,
okay. So it is
what is
created a virtual cache and then it's basically
exactly?
using it the second time round.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And then what is the resulting cache then? What's the purpose of that?
Okay, result cache. So there is two levels. Let's consider two levels of the cache. One is so related to the virtual warehouses here. So this one. So this is related to the virtual warehouse cache. This is the first level. So now the second level at the same time. So when you execute a query, the same details of the information it will be available in the result cache. That is a global level. Okay. So suppose so this is shut down, so this virtual warehouse will shut down again. So when it is started, when I am trying to execute the same query again, so this information will not be available in this particular virtual warehouse cache. In that particular situation, what it will do is it will go and then pick the information from the result cache. That is the meaning of that.
Sorry, I missed it. Sorry. What were you saying? Sorry.
So let's say, so this is the first level. Okay. So first level is the, so let me show. Have two things, two levels. Okay. The first level is so virtual warehouse. Second level is result caching, or we can call it as a global. Okay. So when you execute a query, so let's assume that so you have executed one query. When you execute a query, so what it will do is so the same information, it will be the cache information will be available stored in virtual warehouse. At the same time, it will be available in result cache. Okay. So now, so when you execute the same query second time, so if your virtual warehouse, now if you observe this virtual warehouse is shut down. See this one, it is not a green, right? It is not green now here. So when you execute it here, this whatever the cache information previously it is available, this is not available in your the first level, in your first level. Then it will go to the result cache. From here it will pick. If your virtual warehouse is in green, so then always it will use the first level cache. Is it clear now?
Nish, can you run the query now and
Okay.
see what's the
Yeah.
time it takes?
Let me run the query one more time. Now, so previously, that's the first time. So this is when the virtual warehouse is 821 milliseconds. So next time 40 milliseconds. Now when we are executing the same query one more time, now observe this 30, it has taken 37 milliseconds, 37 milliseconds. Now it has, see this one, still it shows the virtual warehouse is in a suspended mode, right? But how so we got this information? So we got this information from the result cache. If you observe, so open history here, again it will show you can able to see that, see this one, query result has been reused. So it has now, so even your virtual warehouse is suspended here. See this one, even the virtual warehouse is suspended. So we are getting the result from the result cache. Now I think everyone is clear with that now.
Yeah. So it's just like a backup to the virtual. It's another level.
Exactly. You can say that it's a backup to the another level. Okay. So let's come to the thing. Okay. So this is related to the so virtual warehouse. And so this is the common thing when we are using okay retention period. So we know that. So retention period, the stage levels. So retention period, so 0. So because So when we are coming to like transient tables, so no need of so this the fail safe option, right? It is not required. So anyway, so when you are giving the retention period, what will happen? So you are going to the store so backups of other so time travel, right? So time travel always it will be available for the production tables. So production tables we can set the maximum period of the so time travel, so that is nothing but a retention period. So anyway, so when you are cloning any table, so there is no need of retention period. So again, so because the clone table means it is, so we are taking from the so already existing production table, so no need of so again the this one retention period. So we can so go with a so 0 for the time. So this one so your transient tables and then clone tables retention period always you can so give it as a so 0, so it is not required. So basically, so only so the thing is for the production tables only we can able to create a so maximum so time period of the retention. So that is the so some of the best practices we are going to so follow in Snowflake. So what we will do is so just a minute, close this. Next we'll see so practically so how to implement a metallized view. So this is so for the reporting purpose, right? When you are giving so any so data access to any reporting purpose, so we will not give so direct access to the particular any of the table. So what we will do, we will create a metallized view and then we will give the access to that particular metallized view for that particular purpose, particular the reporting purpose. The difference between like a normal metallized view from the normal databases and then so here the metallized view is there is a small difference. Both the functionalities will be the same, but latency will be reduced here in a Snowflake. Latency means always it will be with the real-time data. Generally, in other traditional databases, when you create a metallized view, I think every time so you need to do a refresh period will be there. So every 2 hours once you need to refresh, or every 3 hours once you need to refresh to get the real-time data. But instead of that, in our like a Snowflake, so no need to like so do the auto refresh. The Snowflake automatically it will take care in the backend for the refresh times automatically whenever the data changes. So in any of the table, if you create a metallized view, so automatically, so it will be always, it will be with the real time. For example, so if you have done any changes to the table, so let's say I have created a so metallized view for this particular table. If I do any changes to the table, or if I add any records to the table, or if I any deleted records to this particular table, always immediately within no time it will be reflected in a metallized view. So that is the main concept of metallized view in Snowflake. We will see that practically how to create a metallized view in a Snowflake and then how the data will be refreshed in the backend. So no need to do anything, no need to do any refresh time and all. Automatically it will take care in the backend. We will see that in the next session. So how we can able to implement that. So after
Dinesh,
that, so what
I
we
have
will
a
do is
quick
we'll work with the Python. Yeah,
question for
tell me
you.
please.
So, you know
Yeah, yeah.
how you mentioned you have the virtual warehouse and you
Mm,
never want to point to, I mean, the clone, and you never want to
mm,
point to the actual one, right? So the
mm,
clone itself will create a cache also, which will increase performance. Then on top
mm.
of it, you're going to have a materialized view because you think materialized views could even more enhance the performance. Is that what
Mm,
it?
correct. Unless it will be with the real-time data. In
And
a
the
clone, what will
materialized
happen?
view,
Mm,
you compared it to a traditional materialized view, right? So is it sitting in
mm.
the production data warehouse or on the,
We can point out to anything. So we
but
can
where do
point
you
out to the
actually create
production.
it? Do you
Mm,
create it in the production data warehouse because that is your object and that's what you want to
exactly.
query? Okay, so the
Yeah,
cache happens on top of that. Okay.
yeah, exactly. The refresh will happen on top of that, the production. We will see that practically in the next class. Then so you will be very clear with that. So how exactly it will happen. I think some so background noise is there from my side. So there is some construction work is going on. I'm sorry for that.
Dinesh, can you please share that architecture PDF, because
Sure, I will
we'll
do that.
get
I will
yeah
share
we'll
that.
get in some certification questions from that also, so that's fine.
Yes, yes. I'm going to share that. So cheat sheet is there for the certification. I will share that. So there are all
Okay.
the like important concept is available there.
Okay.
I will do
Because
that.
when I check their majority of questions in architecture, data warehouse, that virtual warehouse
Hmm.
thing, and like that, most in cloning concepts, data. So most of the questions are coming from that part.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Hmm. I will share that, sir, today.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow.